Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our tactical breakdown series, a show in which we look at the players that Arsenal could, should, maybe, and fingers crossed, hopefully will sign in an analytical and statistical way. And we also look at the players that Arsenal have signed and the players that are already at the club and how they may fit into new and different systems based upon the new signings that we make. And into next season, as announced in yesterday's shows, in which we did a breakdown of Wilfried Zaha in comparison to Nicolas Pepe, which you can go check out. And we reacted live to the latest Kieran Tierney and Nicolas Pepe news from that afternoon, which you can still go check out, of course, on the channel. We announced that we are basically going to be running the tactical breakdown into next season, reacting after every single game in an analytical way, breaking down the tactics, looking at the pros and the cons. And I'll be doing that with Drew and with Graham Brooks, obviously, who you know very well from long-time listeners of the channel. People will know Drew from his German expertise, and you'll know Graham from his work on Same Old Arsenal and Arsenal Fan TV. So that should be really good. So please let me know in the description, in the comments, what you think of that. Obviously, the comments for these are absolutely fantastic. And if you are enjoying the series, please give the show a like and subscribe. And we recently hit 13,000 subscribers. So a massive thank you to everyone who's been getting involved with the show and contributing and just enjoying the videos, basically, because it means a lot to me. So let's dive into the video that you're here for today. And it is about looking at if the theoretical theory that if Nicolas Pepe signs for Arsenal, what does that mean for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? Because obviously Aubameyang came in January of last year, had a decent 6 months, and then into this year, when he had his first full season, he became the league's top scorer, scoring a lot of goals from a striking position. But as we know, he has played on the wing a few times, and Nicolas Pepe coming in as a right winger, it can affect some of the different ways in which Aubameyang and Lacazette can work in a front three or in a front two or whatever. And we're going to look at all the different scenarios that we could possibly want and look at how Aubameyang's statistics differ in the different positions in which he plays. So we're going to basically start off with a formation which everyone expects to see these three players playing in. And that's, as you can see on the screen, with the 4-3-3 of Aubameyang playing on the left, Lacazette in the middle, and Pepe on the right. Now, what I wanted to do was specifically for this is look at Aubameyang's statistics in his three different positions that he can play: as a striker or a centre forward, as a right winger, and as a left winger. He has played minutes in all those three positions. In fact, he's played 3,000 minutes as a centre forward last season, 800 minutes as a left winger, and just over 300 minutes as a right winger. So he has played a considerable amount of time on the wing, over 1,000 minutes of football, which is obviously only a third as much as he played as a striker. But you'd expect that from someone who is categorically an out-and-out striker by trade. We can look at the different statistics of the left wing side, the centre forward, and the right wing slot. And you can actually see in terms of just shots, so shots in where he's taken them, 2.12 from the left wing, 3.16 from a centre forward slot, and 3.26 from a right wing slot. And you can see from the graphic on your screen showing you where his shots are taken from. Most of his goals never come from that left hand side. They're mostly in the centre or slightly edging out to the right, which is concerning if you're going to play Aubameyang on that left wing, because you know that Pepe is going to come in as a right winger and really sort of take over that side. He doesn't play as a left wing anywhere near as much, if at all. And we're going to go into some of that detail when we consider Pepe as a left winger. But Aubameyang, really, his shots are massively diluted when we play him on that left wing. So that's something that we have to consider. And that's reflected in the XG. XG is obviously expected goals. It's a prediction about how many goals are scored. So in terms of left wing, 0.38, 0.69 for centre forward. As I said, 0.38 for left wing, and 0.74 for right wing. It's ironic and rather interesting that actually his right wing XG is higher, and it's expected that he would score more goals because possibly he's taken more shots across the keeper. If you think back to that goal that he scored against Crystal Palace in the home leg, which unfortunately we lost 3-2, that goal in which he came in from the right, took on players, something that we've actually been crying out for Aubameyang to do. He's been playing on the right-hand side during pre-season, and he's shown that his dribbling and his pace are definitely helping him on that right-hand side. And for me, if anything, seeing him play on that right and Unai Emery deploying him in that side during pre-season tells me that the club really were pushing for Wilfried Zaha's signature, bringing in a left winger that was going to play on the left with Lacazette in the middle and Aubameyang on the right. The fact they were practicing in that style tells me that probably was the case. Now they've moved to Pepe, we're going to need a complete shift in the tactics that we were originally deploying. If we move on to crossing, 2.66 2.68 crosses per game on the left wing, 1.9 in the centre forward role, and 2.99 on the right wing slot. You can expect more from the right hand side because he's right footed, whereas he has to cut back to obviously swing across him with his right foot on the left hand side. But accuracy definitely differs in terms of that as well. When he cuts back on the left wing, just over 20% of those crosses are accurate. Even in the middle, playing as a striker, when he drifts out in that striking role, his crosses are more accurate, 23.8%, and then significantly so on the right wing side, 45.5% of his crosses are being more accurate. Dribbling, again, another statistic where you can see more dribbles are being done on that right wing with 4.35. The centre forward position 3.16, and less so on that left wing at 2.8. And the success rates, though, are fairly similar. In fact, the right wing is the least successful at 50%. The striking role is most successful with 53.3, and then left wing is somewhere in the middle at about 52%. In terms of offensive duels, definitely again the right wing side is seeing a lot more action at 9.52 offensive duels per game. Dips to 6.84 in the centre forward role and 6.6 in the left role. And the percentage of the success rate, again, very similar, all in the 37 percentiles for that. And so that's not surprising to see that the same success is being made in his offensive duels across that front line, but the frequency definitely is more so on the right. He seems much more comfortable in that position than on that left wing slot. In terms of touches into the box, 5.17 playing on the right, 4.25 in the middle, and 4.02 on the left. Again, that left wing role is really limiting how much damage Aubameyang can do, and so playing in that position, you are going to restrict the capabilities that Aubameyang can add to the side. Progressive runs, 2.72 on the right wing side, runs being made in behind the defence, trying to get behind their left back and in on through on goal so we can hit a shot across the keeper. 1.1 being made in the centre and 1.23 on the wing. You'd expect to see more progressive runs from playing on the wing compared to the middle of the pitch, because you know that Arsenal like to deploy and use their wingers so that as much effect as feasibly possible. So in terms of his passing, if we move on to the passing, how that changes, his passing, he's much more passes going on the right wing, 32.36, left wing, 28.17, and in the centre forward role, 18.74. And you'd expect that from someone who, as we know, is a poacher. He likes to get into the box and finish off chances. So you definitely expect that to see. Again, the percentages are 70% again. Right wing is centre forward in the 74s, and there's a dip in that left wing role because you know that he's going to have to try and cut back, and that means that either he's off balance or he's under more pressure because he's had to cut back onto his weaker foot to try, or rather his stronger foot, because he don't want to play a pass on his weaker foot, so he has to cut back, and that's really going to cut his accuracy down, as it does show in the statistics. In terms of long passing, 1.36 from the right wing slot and 1.12 from the left wing slot, but the accuracy of those, again, because of the weakness of having to cut back onto his right on that left wing, 30% success in the left wing, 40% in the right wing. And actually, his centre forward role, considerably less long passes as you would expect. He's never in the position to really want to play them at 0.27, but a higher accuracy at 55.6%. And his x-assist, now, x-assist is similar to xG, or his XA. His XA is about how many assists we expect, and if you're playing as a winger, you want to see them be more creative than if you're playing in that striking role. And so the fact that it actually dips his XA only ever so slightly, but it's still enough to talk about, a 0.14 XA for right wing, 0.12 for centre forward, and it dips at 0.11 for the left wing slot. Now, yes, you can say that that's hardly any difference whatsoever, but you should see a bigger difference between the striking role and those wing slots, and there's hardly any difference whatsoever. He doesn't become more creative playing on those left wing slots. He's still got very much the mind of a striker, and so if you shimmy him out to either the left or right wing, that can decrease his effectiveness in not just his striking role and his strike rate, but also the amount of creativity, or the limited creativity that he already has, is again shackled even further. In terms of passes into the final third, this is where it starts to get really damning for that left wing slot. 1.23 being made on the left wing, 1.48 in the centre forward role, and 2.72 on the right wing. 54% accuracy on the left wing, 65% accuracy in the centre, but 90% accuracy of passes into the final third from that right wing slot. Extremely impressive role when he plays there. We knew he played there for Santetti, and he did a bit for Dortmund as well, so he's got that experience of playing that right wing, and it really shows in that. It shows again the restrictions to that left wing role in terms of passes when he's trying to play them into the box. 2.91 being made on the left wing with 4.35 on the right, but the right hand side sees a 50% success rate and the left wing sees a 38.5%, a huge dip in the amount, 11.5% drop there, but a 52.9% accuracy in the middle. Again, really suited to playing that central role. We know that, that's obvious. So the fact that we would try and take that away from him by shimmying him out to the left is concerning. In terms of forward passes to backward passes, this is for me the key statistic which tells you how much you take away from an offensive sense by giving Aubameyang that left wing role. If we look at the right wing first of all, it's so positive. 10 passes forwards with nearly just under 5.5 passes backwards. Really, really positive. More than double the amount of forward nearly the amount of double the forward passes that are being made. In the centre, as you'd expect, it's very even. 4.4 going forwards, 4.7 going backwards. Only ever so slightly negative, but it's a forward role, and you expect to see the interplay going on between the strikers, running onto those passes and laying them back for your opponents, or for your teammates when you need to. But then if you look at the left wing side, 6.15 passes forwards and 7.71 going backwards. So over one pass per game is being played more in a negative way than compared to a forward pass as a left winger, which is really concerning. And so if you actually take that into account, how much you're taking away from your team creatively and in the passing sense and then offensively and wanting to drive the team forwards, playing Aubameyang there really takes away from the emphasis of the attack in Arsenal's lineup. So yes, if you look at it overall, obviously playing those front three, as David Ornstein put in his 5 Live description, it seems mouth-watering to see those three in the front three, and maybe it will be different with Pepe playing on the right and Aubameyang playing on the left. You might see Aubameyang being a little bit less passive as a left winger than he has done previously when he showed his game time there. But who knows? The issue I also see is that Aubameyang really sort of benefits from a ball playing very low across the box, like we saw from Ainsley Maitland-Niles against Valencia. He latches onto those balls really easily. And if you've got a right winger that's left-footed, you halve the amount of chances that you're going to create of that style. Still get the Bellerin and the Maitland-Niles coming from right wing back or right back, overlapping the winger to play those balls across. But with the left-footed, and as we saw in the breakdown against Zaha, Pepe likes to cut in much earlier, not anywhere near the byline where Aubameyang can really feed on from those. He cuts in much earlier to try and make space, take on players, find a shot, possibly play a through ball to the right back or the right winger, the right wing back rather, and make a chance that way. But we might limit the amount of chances that Aubameyang is actually able to create for himself, or other people are able to create from him, by playing him in that position. If we then look at an alternative formation, so if we look at the 4-3-3 with Aubameyang on the right, Lacazette in the middle and Pepe on the left. Now this is a very brief breakdown, and I'll tell you for why it's a very brief breakdown is because whilst we've seen that Aubameyang can be really deadly in that right wing role, you can see that from the statistics that we've previously looked at. Pepe, when I filtered it looking through the statistics on the program that I use, he played no minutes at all. And this isn't saying the program doesn't look where you start the game. It doesn't say this is how many minutes because he started a right wing. It basically analyses it to say how many times they drifted out to that position, how many times they were on the ball in that position. And Pepe didn't spend a single minute of football last season on the ball on that left wing, enough so that it came up on the programme. It didn't recognise it at all. All of his game was either centrally or it was on that right wing, cutting inside, creating space, finding a finesse shot or a low-driven shot to the keeper's near post. None at all. So I don't feel I need to talk about that as an option, because I can't see why Unai Emery would spend 70 to 80 million pounds on a player to play him somewhere that he has never played the whole of last season in that role. It makes no sense, and so I'm just going to disregard that proposition completely. The last one is by taking Lacazette out of the striker role equation. As you can see on the screen there, the last formation I'm considering is playing Iwobi or Martinelli or Saka, our natural left wingers on the left, with Auba up top, and then Pepe on that right wing, and then there's a number 10 playing either Ozil or Lacazette as a second striker, which I've seen people suggest on Twitter, or possibly even Ceballos, our loan signing from Real Madrid. Now, I don't really like this formation because I don't like the idea of Lacazette playing as a number 10 or as a second striker. For me, he's not creative enough. Yes, he's got creative abilities with him, but he's nowhere near as creative as what you'd see from a more natural number 10, and I think you'd really take away some of the work rate from that midfield by doing that. If you play Ceballos there, it's a little bit more free, a little bit more dynamic. He's got the dribbling skill and the ability to find players, and if you put Ozil there, you may not have the same amount of energy, but you've definitely got the vision and the passing that you're able to find those strikers. Aubameyang playing centrally, we know it's his most dangerous position, he's nowhere his most comfortable there, but you take away that possible front three ability, and people want to see that front three put together, Lacazette, Aubameyang and Pepe. But it seems from looking at the statistics that if you just shift Aubameyang out to the left-hand side, it takes away completely from what he's capable of, and it's really concerning. I'm going to leave things there because I think that's the perfect place, should I say, to finish that. But please do let me know in the comments about what your thoughts on, and if Pepe signs, because it's still an if, we're not 100% sure that he is definitely signing, but the news is seemingly increasingly positive day by day. Let me know what you think, how we should play with our lineup. Do you think we should actually sacrifice some of Aubameyang's abilities to push him out to the left-hand side to see those front three play together, or do you think we should be more clever and more sensible and play someone who's more natural on that left wing and rotate our striking positions throughout the season? That's my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts in those descriptions. Again, big thank you to everyone who's been subscribing and liking the videos. 13,000 subscribers is amazing, and thank you ever so much. I'll see you again tomorrow, because I'm afraid there's not going to be 2 videos today because I'm out all afternoon, all nice and dressed up, as you can see. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I certainly will, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. And as always, up the Arsenal.